Coming up on Central News, our local volleyball girls are the nation's best. Robotics world champs and the human-powered Christmas tree. Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Wednesday the 10th of December. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Shauna Polley and Julia Tilley are currently New Zealand's #1 women's beach volleyball team. I caught up with them recently to find out about their journey so far. Julia, you are currently New Zealand's #1 women's team for beach volleyball. How have you guys reached that status?
Well, I started playing with Shauna about 3 years ago. I've been playing for quite a while already, and we just got together. We had a lot of passion for the game, and coupled with our competitive nature, I think we just kind of started from there, and we had a really dominant season and went to the top of the New Zealand scene pretty quickly. And then since then, I think we've just kept going and put in lots of hard work and training and all those sorts of things, and just kept trying to regain that title and keep it going.
So how did you guys meet then 3 years ago?
Julia and I, we played in the same indoor volleyball team. Julia, her original partner was from the South Island and couldn't make it to one of the tournaments, and I'd never really played much beach volleyball before, but Julia just asked me if I'd be interested in playing with her. So I kind of was like, Julia's really good, I'll do it. So I played with her and we won our first tournament, so that was pretty cool. And the next weekend we won again, and then the next weekend we won again, and Julia was kind of like, this is a good thing, we should keep this going, and so I just took off from there.
Is it quite different going from indoor to sand?
Yes and no. Yeah, there's obviously with the beach there's a lot more conditions and variables, so there's the sand and the wind. Beach volleyball requires a lot more control, and there's a few other rule changes with it.
I think only 2 people on the court, so there's a lot more
accountable. You're a lot more accountable for.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there many ankle injuries? That's all I think about when I think about playing on the sand.
Actually, surprisingly, from indoor I did my ankle probably about 3 or 4 times, and I had to get it reconstructed. But on the sand, it's actually really supportive, because you kind of go down, and then if you go to roll it, the sand kind of supports it, and then your body corrects. So there's actually surprisingly not that many more indoor on the hard surface, I think.
That's surprising. Now, where have your guys' season has started? So where have you competed so far?
Well, we started off in October. We competed in North Harbour. There's a tournament up there. We then travelled all the way down to Gisborne. From there, we were fortunate enough to travel over to Manly, Australia, where we competed in the Oceania Champs and the Manly State Tour. So that was a really good way to start off our season. We then came from the 35-degree heat over in Manly straight down to Invercargill in the 10-degree heat, cold, where we got to play there, and then we were straight back up to the Mount last weekend competing.
Wow, you guys are getting around.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No, because you went to Invercargill and you had to play indoors.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It was a bit different. I've never played indoors before, and it was actually, the southernmost volleyball tournament ever held. So that was quite exciting. But in the velodrome there, they just dumped a whole lot of sand, about 4 courts. So it was really exciting, and they had a really good vibe. And they actually did turn on the heaters for us, so it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, especially coming from 35 degrees.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a struggle.
Quite an odd situation, I imagine. Sand and 10 degrees.
Yeah, sand indoors and then going out to hail.
Yeah, it's definitely something very unique for all us beach volleyballers.
Yeah.
It was really good competing in the South Island though. That just exposing the sport more and getting to play down there. And we did a camp with some of the kids down there, and they were just really loving the sport. So it was really cool.
Yeah, you'd have to watch out for the seals and the penguins though on South Island beaches. So what does a typical training week look like for you guys?
In season, we are very busy. We try to base ourselves at Mount Maunganui, where we train twice a day on the sand, 2 hours a session, so it can get very tiring just being in the sand and the sun all day. Pre-season, we're in the gym a lot, so we're nearly every day of the week trying to do some gym and cardio, building up for the season.
Is it quite a lot of cardio that goes into volleyball, especially beach volleyball, because you're kind of bouncing off that?
Yeah, I think you don't really realise until you haven't played for a while, and then you get back on the sand, you're like, this is so hard. But I think once you get used to it, it's a lot easier. But it is a lot of cardio. Yeah, I think you get a lot of cardio out of just playing and training and just being on the sand. So that's one of the positives, that you just get fit from just playing the sport, obviously, yeah.
Do you guys go through a lot of sunscreen? I mean, a lot of us wouldn't go to the beach every single day and be out in the sun that long. That must be so much more tiring, and heat exhaustion and all those kind of things that go with it.
Well, if you can tell, I'm pretty pasty, so I'm not the typical tan beach volleyball player. So yeah, all day, every day, I'm just lathering on the sunscreen, so we do go through a lot.
Yeah, a lot. The spray ones are handy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Shauna, you do my back, Shauna.
But I mean, do you guys get heat exhaustion out there? I suppose you're athletes, so
yeah. I think it's just being smart in between games, because the actual game you're only on for like max an hour, so it's just in between getting in the shade.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to wear a hat and stuff like that.
Keeping hydrated.
Yes.
Now, up until recently, when you're not on the beach and you're in the shade of your car, you were struggling to get around, and you had a little bit of a mishap on the Kaimai Ranges, I hear.
That was my car, dear Pearl. Yes, we had a breakdown over the Kaimais, and so the 1.5 hour trip turned into a 7-hour trip on the way home. And we just tried. It was on a Sunday, so we rang AA, and they were like, it's going to take us, we have to pick you up tomorrow because there's no one on service, and so we tried to just push on through.
The car was smoking everywhere, and we're just like, it's all good, we'll just keep going, and slowly it just kind of putted over to the side of the road. We were lucky enough to get some people to pull over and help us. They gave us some water and oil, but it didn't help too much. But we continued on down the Kaimais, just going like, 15 k's an hour all the way home. Just all the way back to Hamilton. We just trudged along, we'd pull over and we'd have to refill our water cap because it had split, and so the water was leaking.
Good time.
Dear. And I mean, it sounds like you guys get around a lot, and you're fit, but I don't know if running to Invercargill is going to be...
Especially after a whole day of training, not ideal.
Yeah,
carried the building stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And running over the Kaimais might be a bit long, but...
Might be pushing it.
Yeah. So, actually got a new car though.
Yes, we're very, very lucky. We got a new Suzuki Swift at the moment to get us around for the summer, so we are very happy about that. Yeah. Travelling in style. Yeah, we got, so after our little incident, we had a few friends who found out about it and thought that wasn't really good enough. So, Anne-Marie actually helped us out and got in touch with some people at Nicholson Motors, lovely people, who came to our need and, sponsored us a car and with Suzuki. And, they've helped us out for the summer, which we're very grateful for.
Make sure you follow The Girls' Journey on their Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/Tilly Polly Beach Volley. Coming up next, robotics. Welcome back to Central News on TV Central. The House of Science VEX robotics team has gone from strength to strength, with 2 competitive high school robots performing extremely well in the Bay of Plenty scrimmages, and a VEX IQ team of intermediate age students also ready to take on the local opposition. I caught up with 2 robotics champions off to the World Champs. So Kate, what are you building here?
I'm building a robot for the VEX competition Skyrise, which involves cubes and plastic poles which you have to build on top of one another. So the part that I'm working on at the moment is the lift, which is designed to be able to pick up the cubes and put it on top of the poles or the Skyrise. So it's got wheels so it can move forward and back, and it's got gears, which mean that it can put lots of torque outwards from the small little motor.
Now, you've got to be able to lift one of these things, don't you, Dean?
So each game is 2 minutes with 15 seconds at the start. Robot does, well, pre-program things to as many points as you can in 15 seconds. Then minute 45, driver control to get as many points. Then end of the game, total score. And each one of these on a post is 2 points. Each one at the top of a post is worth 3 points. So you get points for owning it. So this one be worth 3, but all the ones below are worth 2.
Not only is it complicated to build one of these things, it sounds really complicated to actually score.
Yeah.
So you're actually halfway through your machine, aren't you? It's over there. We can't show you because it's competition. We don't want to give away the secrets. So you're halfway through, or you're kind of putting the finishing touches?
Kind of making small adjustments and fine tuning, just changing things to make, well, just generally everything more reliable and work faster or stronger. So there's like with the lift, if it sways side to side at the top, then it's not going to be that good for driving around quickly. You can kind of break things easily. So just making things stronger so it's just, well, doesn't twist or anything.
Now, you guys went to the Worlds last year. How was it?
It was really good. It was an amazing experience. It was both of our first times at Worlds. We both did really well. Dean and his team ended up second in your division, and my team ended up winning our division and losing in a very, very close game of the finals against another New Zealand team. So it was pretty awesome to do that well.
How big is the Worlds when it comes to robotics?
Pretty big. There's around 4,000 to 5,000 people competing and about upwards of 500 teams, I guess.
So what are the prerequisites? You've got to use this kind of material? Do you get given the stuff beforehand, or can I go out and make a robot out of wood?
So it's all put out by the big company Vex, who runs the whole competition, and they put out like different lengths of metal, different wheels, gears, sprockets, whatever you need to use. But the only parts that we can use are the Vex parts. So yeah, we have to go and buy all the parts, which can end up being quite expensive. The robots that we took to World last year were worth about $4,000.
Well, I guess every sport can get quite expensive nowadays, can't it? And yeah, it sounds like this is one of the more expensive ones.
Yeah. Well, I came from horse riding, so this was a bit cheaper than that.
Yeah, actually, I'd rather my daughter get into robots than horses. Yeah, they can be expensive. And a robot is easier to fix than a horse.
It definitely is.
So do you think you have a chance of winning, or do you think New Zealand has a chance of winning this year?
Well, New Zealand's been in the winning team for the last 5 years or so I think New Zealand is always really, really strong when it comes to robotics, and I think we have a really good chance of winning again.
Now, we're all the way at the end of the world, one might say, or a lot of people do say. Why do you think that we're so good at robotics, of all things?
The number 8 wire mentality, I think. We're really good at kind of innovating and coming up with ideas that nobody else has come up with, and I think that definitely shows in robotics, yeah.
You build a robot, you do it through high school, you go to the Worlds, you become a champion. Where does that lead you? Are you going to be our next robot designer, building our cars that fly? Where does it lead you?
Hopefully into uni, studying mechatronics or something along engineering, and usually kind of electronic kind of careers, or sometimes it's computer programming things. There's a lot of technological advances and stuff that you learn about, like how to get to certain points, like how to keep logs of everything that you do, how to keep track of anything that you do to innovate and to find new ways to do things that no one else has thought of. So it's kind of pretty good practice to just keep a log of everything. It's like engineering notebook, which I've kind of not done too many times.
You haven't been keeping up with your homework of robotics?
Not really.
You're not the first teenager to do that. What is the most satisfying part? Is it, people say with artworks like they never finish. Do you get that with a robot? Is there a satisfying moment when you say, I finished, or are you constantly looking at it going, oh, I could have tweaked that and I could have tweaked that little bit?
Usually it's always, I wish I'd gone and changed that. After the competition finishes or the new game is released, then you always, before you really get into the new game, you keep thinking, what if I could have done this in the other robot? What if I could have done this to make it better? What if I could have done this strategy in different game? You would have could have won or gone further in competitions. So.
Who won last year? What do you think made that team the winning team?
I think wasn't so much a great robot, because it was good in its own certain aspects, but I think the main group had one really good offensive robot and one really good defensive robot, and I know that just played strategy-wise together really well, because they'd spoken a bit beforehand, and just really good in general.
And that's the funny thing about this sport is, in the end, you're teamed up with a team that you've never met before. Explain how it works, because it sounds complicated building the things in a complicated sport to me.
So during the qualification rounds, which are kind of, you get allianced with any random robot from any random country or school or whatever, and you try to do as well as you can, so you have to try and talk to them and figure out what strategy you're going to play. Some people ended up teamed with people who don't speak English, which is a bit of an issue. But then once you finish those rounds, you get to the stage where the top 8 ranked people get to choose their alliances, which are the people who they think that they could work really well with. So they end up working with people who they know they can do well with and playing strategy, and you get a little bit of time to actually talk to each other and figure out what you're going to do. Yeah.
And then you have an offensive and a defensive robot attacking, and kind of like a real gridiron football game, I guess.
Yeah, so during the game you can either have 2 really strong offensive robots and you just go all out and try to score as much as you possibly can, but you can also end up with an offensive robot which is trying to score as many points as possible, and a defensive robot who heads over to the other side of the field and tries to stop the other team from scoring, which can end up being pretty difficult to face.
And I guess pretty dangerous as well.
There's lots of rules to stop people from trying to tip other people's robots and not getting too dangerous, but it can get pretty scary, especially when robots are up to 6 feet tall or running around as fast as they can, yeah.
As long as there's no injury to us humans, that's right, and as long as they don't take over the world.
Yeah, let's hope not.
We'll be following them closely. After the break on Central News, the Bay Twisters throwing people in the air. Welcome back to Central News. The people-powered Christmas tree in Bay Fair is a national first, with special flooring that converts kinetic energy from human footfall into renewable electricity, which is lighting up the tree. The Bay Twisters were there to show us how it's done. Right, ladies, you've just done a magnificent performance. I was quite impressed with the throwing around. Is it quite scary, throwing people around like that?
Yeah, because you've got to make sure that you catch them, otherwise you drop them.
Have you had some falls before?
Well, actually, yes, we dropped our flyer and we let Big Blue catch them. That's what we call our sprung floor.
So I bet it's a lot easier when you've actually got nice floors to fall on, isn't it?
Definitely.
So, because to here today, you guys were actually trying to light up the Christmas tree with the electric current that's going through the floor. I don't know all the technical stuff of how it works. So was it quite fun though, performing in front of some people for a change instead of training at the gym?
Yeah, it was really fun. I think we sort of feed off the crowd, so it was fun, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Bay Twisters.
Well, we're a non-profit cheerleading club, which means that we don't we put all the money back into the gym instead of keeping it for ourselves.
Now, why cheerleading? What on earth made you think, you know what, I want to go there and get thrown around?
Well, I started off with gymnastics, and like I used to be quite interested in dance, and then like cheerleading is a bit of dance, like tumbling and stunts, so it's like a bit of everything, so it's quite fun.
It is a bit of both, isn't it? It's a bit of gymnastics and dance mixed together. Was it the movie Bring It On that inspired you to start?
No, actually my friend, she got me into it because I went to one of her training sessions and then I like freaked out, like, oh my god, I want to do this, and so I signed up.
Because you guys competed at the Nationals recently and you placed very, very well, didn't you?
Yeah, it was pretty fun, like, because it was a 2-day comp, and the first day we came third, but the second day we, stuff happened and we ended up coming fourth, but we were still really proud of ourselves, like it was Nationals, so we did quite well.
How do you train for this? I mean, what are you going to do? Like jump and 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 flip and flip and flip? What else do you do?
Well, we do stuff called full routines, which means we do absolutely everything in our routine, and we just do that over and over and over again, and it gets quite tough.
Yeah. And we also do conditioning to build up our strength so we don't drop our people.
Yeah.
That's very clever to do that. But that's the thing, isn't it? It is a really respectable, true sport. It is. There is a lot of athleticism that's actually to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you got to have a lot of fitness, like a lot of cardio, do you think?
Yeah.
Quite a bit, like,
because you got to
have
go
be fit.
through. You got to go through like everything and full out, and it's just like gets really tiring. And if you're not fit enough, then you'll like collapse.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it out there. One, I don't want to be thrown around, and two, I'm not fit enough.
Well, we can get you fit.
Great. Next week we'll start, eh?
Yeah.
Amazing. I don't know how they do it. Right, now our weather for Thursday. Looking to the seas now for Thursday. That is the program for tonight. If you'd like to get a hold of us to tell us about something going on in your community, you can like us on Facebook, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. On tomorrow night's show, we have the Play It Strange winner, who is just 13 and a local girl from Tauranga. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.